Hello everyone, this is Aegon of Astora, and welcome back to my casual playthrough of Dark Souls. This is episode number 29, being recorded on Saturday the 28th of May. I hope you're all having a fantastic day today, whenever it is you find yourself watching this. So this is being recorded, on the same day as the previous two episodes, because I figured I might as well, while I have several spare hours today, try to get as many of these recorded as I can, because I don't want to leave this playthrough for any longer than I already have. I've already left it for, a very long time, because I think I started it in September, which would mean that it's been going for about 8 months, so not quite as long as Bloodborne Let's Talk Lore, but obviously that series was the priority, and this one was more of a side curiosity, something just been doing for fun. And very interesting to note that, our Armor Bone was just grayed out. After I finished recording the previous episode, you may recall that we were in Darkmoon Tomb last. And same thing kept happening. It seemed like I was being targeted for invasions, which was one of the huge problems with this game, the PvP. Was that every now and then it would seem like you were about to be invaded, and then just nothing would happen. So I presume at this point that there's some poor soul just sort of walking around Anor Londo with their Darkmoon summoning ring equipped and not being able to, or not actually being summoned by anyone. So if that happens, then we'll deal with them, because, more credit to them for still playing Dark Souls 1 PvP. I think that's awesome. So we finished off the previous episode, and there goes our Homeward Bone again. So I'm very curious to see. And so what I've been doing, which is something you can't do on the PS4, but you can on the 360, which is quite awesome. And that is, you can look at the recent players, and as soon as someone is actually invading you, it will say last met 1 minute ago or something like that right at the top. So you can see all these people that, I believe this person here was a cheater. Not terribly surprising given their rep rating. But see how long it's been since, and the game I've been primarily turning on my Xbox 360 for, if not exclusively, is, and you see the people with the sad faces are people who are cheaters. So, quite nice, the functionality with the 360. But what's interesting about that is, my understanding of the Xbox One is that basically they didn't do any of those things. And that it was nowhere near as functional as the 360 was. But so we'll keep an eye on that. But in the meantime, as you've probably guessed already at this point, we are headed towards the Painted World. And normally I would just run by all of the Painting Guardians. But we have something to talk about at the end of this room, which I don't believe we talked about in the... Oh, that guy, he just used Estes. Which is something that's very cool, and again, another thing that I'm sure we talked about, but it bears repeating, is the fact that when an enemy uses Estes, that implies rather strongly that they too are undead. Now that doesn't mean, of course, that they, like us, got their Estus flask from Oscar. So I'm going to assume that that's a throwing knife, because we've gone and maxed out basically all of our items, so that's why you may notice that we no longer have hundreds of thousands of souls. It's not because I lost it, but just because, wanted to make sure that we were well stocked up on everything we needed for the Painted World. But so it's very interesting that all these Painting Guardians are undead, and so presumably they got their their Estus flask from whomever it was they were serving. It would seem that they are serving the gods, because the whole thing with the painted world, the whole point of the painted world is such that things that the gods fear are locked away there. And so it seems pretty evident to me, and we'll get their set in the painted world, but it seems pretty evident to me that, yeah, they're serving the gods. Like, there's the gauntlet up at the top, and also worthy of note that they are not illusions. They're still here, even though we've destroyed even though we shattered the illusion of Guinevere, and therefore of the rest of Anor Londo, including the sun and various other things, that, yeah, these guys are still here. They're still guarding the painting. Whereas the ones up in the rafters, presumably, are there to... I don't know why I'm taking this so slow when we can just kill them all in basically one swing of our claymore. So let's do that. But so it's very interesting. Oh, and that poise, even though it's 38, that's enough to handle them quite readily. So that was a great magic weapon, I believe. Great magic weapon. Sorcery which improves upon magic weapon. High magic augmentation, right weapon. At Vinheim Dragon School, only magic swordsmen on special orders are allowed to learn this spell, which grants powerful augmentation to various weapons. So it said, only those on special missions. Special orders. So it seems that a non-trivial number of people have been either dispatched to guard the painted world or dispatched to retrieve something from the painted world. And that brings us to this corpse over here, which is that, of course, of Black Iron Tarkus. Parrying is so much easier in this game than it is in Dark Souls 3. So this corpse here. The rafters are up there. And so, I don't know if I'd mentioned this previously either, and that's, I guess, going to be the key word of this episode, or the key phrase. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but VaatiVidya's video on Black Iron Tarkus was basically a revelation for me back in the day when I was a new Dark Souls 1 player. And that is the revelation that Black Iron Tarkus is much like ourselves, or seemingly much like ourselves. You know, a chosen undead who has their own world in this multiverse. And so that video, and I'll provide a link to it in the description if by chance you haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure everyone's seen it at some point or another. That video, yeah, was just an enormous revelation for me in being able to understand why it is that these NPCs are where they are, and, you know, the things that they're doing. And so basically, what he argues in the video is that Tarkus, you know, helps. He drops his sign at Sen's Fortress to help people out. And then after he helps the player character defeat Black Iron Tarkus, he too goes on to defeat Black Iron Tarkus, the Iron Golem. He too goes on to defeat the Iron Golem in his own world and makes his way to Anor Londo. Again, this isn't necessarily canonical, but what VaatiVidya argued was that he was the one who smashed the window that we entered into to traverse the rafters, and that he fell to his death and was dragged into the corner here by the Painted Guardians. So that was for a long time how I imagined it going. But I do think that there is an alternative explanation. And that is, it's possible that he was trying to get to the Painted World. Because you really kind of have to stretch. I think it's really stretched to argue that he fell and then was dragged into the corner. Why? Why would he have been dragged into the corner? It makes no sense, at least to me. It did for a time, but the more and more I thought about it, the less likely it seemed. What's far more likely, in my view, is that he came in here, and, you know, he's Black Iron Tarkus with his awesome armor and his greatsword and his great shield and all that, and just sort of, you know, instead of taking out the enemies one at a time, just sort of, you know, tried to run through and make his way through, and basically got swarmed. And I'm sure that's happened to everyone at one point or another, and I suspect that that also might be an additional reason as to why his corpse is here specifically. Because of the way the Painted Guardians are lined throughout this cathedral here, such that if you run, and maybe that's what we should have done for demonstration purposes, that if you run in and try to run over to this item here, you'll get absolutely swarmed by Painted Guardians. And you pick up the item, and then, you know, you turn around and you die. And so I don't know why he would have been in this corner specifically, because, you know, we would have a time travel paradox if there was an item here and then he went to grab it and then got swarmed. But it doesn't seem unlikely to me that that is an alternative explanation. And so the why of him going into the Painted World, like what was he looking for, is something that we'll talk about shortly. But for now, yeah, I just thought I would point that out, that it's something that's very interesting. A storyline that I once thought was very, very clear-cut, but now I can see that there were other possibilities. So, Black Iron Armor. Armor of Black Iron Tarkus, a knight known for his great strength. Built of a special black iron and providing strong defense, notably against fire, but so terribly heavy to be unwieldy to all but Tarkus himself. And we also got his great shield. Great shield of the mighty knight Tarkus, built of special black iron and even heavier than Knight Berenice's tower shield, especially resistant to fire attacks and effective for shield bashing. And I don't believe he drops his great sword. Oh, or maybe he did. Either that or we already had it. One of the gigantic straight greatswords. Very few have what it takes to wield this incredibly heavy, damage-dealing monster. A favorite of the Knights Berenice, known for their heavy armor and Black Iron Tarkus. So yeah, so that's something to keep in mind. I don't think we're going to be exploring the entirety of the Painted World, but there are a few things I want to talk about. So let's do just that. Oh, actually, sorry. Before we do that, let's remember also that back in the cell at the Northern Undead, our cell at the Northern Undead Asylum, we went back there and we picked up this peculiar doll, which was being guarded, oddly enough, by a Black Knight. A strange doll in a strange dress. There once was an abomination who had no place in this world. She clutched this doll tightly and eventually was drawn into a cold and lonely painted world. How freaking cool is that? Oh, it's so cool. And so the thing about this area that I'm sure everyone's aware of, but again, if you're not, I will do my best to explain it, is that this world, this area, was actually sort of a proof of concept. It's interesting that we can't use our homeward bone just yet. I don't know. I always love that. But yeah, this area was basically a proof of concept for Dark Souls 1. That after they created Demon Souls, and presumably wanted to pursue... Because there's a lot of historical revisionism going on, not so much in the community, but more in the media about Sony's relationship with FromSoft. And I guess part of this is FromSoft and Sony making nice with each other in public. But as I'm almost certain I described earlier in the series, that after Demon Souls, FromSoft basically, or Sony basically described Demon Souls as a disaster. And it was like one of the presidents said that, or VPs or something, said it was one of the worst games they'd ever played. And so after that, I don't know if this was always in the cards for them, or if it was something that they decided after that sort of insult. FromSoft basically decided, yeah, that they were going to make a multi-platform Souls game. And this area was basically the prototype for it. And what's funny is that later on in the level, when we come to... And you can see the Demon Souls influence rather strongly with the phalanx right there guarding that statue, which we'll talk about a little bit. I haven't decided whether or not we're actually going to go down into the tunnels and deal with the Bonewheel skeletons, because unlike in Dark Souls 2 and 3, they're a nightmare to deal with in this game. But yeah, in the boss room for this area, the initial boss of this area was actually Gravelord Nito. That there's a circular platform that when you enter the boss room, if you were to step in the middle of the platform, the ground would have gave way, and we would have fallen into a boss room where we would have fought Gravelord Nito. So this is a very, very interesting example and case study of how it is that cut content can be used and reused in a way that, yeah, is just brilliant. So though this area might not have originally had a place in the story, they made a place in the story for it. By basically making this, you know, the place where the gods hid away all the things that were unseemly to them. And thinking about this as well, just in light of how much time I've spent farming for Proof of a Concord Kept in Dark Souls 3, the Dark Moon Blade Covenant item, is that this very platform is where I farmed most of the souvenirs of reprisal that I used in Dark Souls 1 to get Dark Moon Blade. And it took a long time, but it's certainly much easier than it is dealing with, the ones in Dark Souls 3. And so the first time you come up here, they wait until you grab this soul before they come flying at you. And oh, the frame rate here is atrocious as well. But on subsequent attempts, so basically what I would do is, I would just come up here, farm these two, homeward bone back, and then wash, rinse, repeat. And I'm sure that there were faster ways to do it. And then actually, yes, the second step was I would fire an arrow at these two here. Or attempt to fire an arrow at them. And then they would fly on over, eventually. Where'd you go, friend? Is she still alive? I think we'll probably find her elsewhere later on. Oh, that's so funny. Alright, well, while we're up here, we might as well make use of some cheese. Because this area is chock full of cheese on FromSoft's part. Such as these guys who could see us through the ceiling, or the floor in their case. And I think it's these enemies. The Engorged Zombies, I think they're called? Or at least the Wiki.Dark Souls Wiki describes them as such. And we'll talk about them when we pick up an item a little bit further on. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff in this area I don't get at all. So I don't want to give the impression once again that I know what the heck is happening here. That Engorged Zombie over there is if that's the one I'm thinking it is very interesting. And so we might have to actually go deal with the Bonewheels, if only to go say hello to that one. But you'll notice that they seem to be a form of the egg bearers that is between the form that we can achieve and that of, say, NG. Okay, I guess we gotta get closer to get that. We can see another couple of them up here. Oh, but it doesn't look like we can actually shoot through there. No. Because, yeah, there's some really nasty ambushes in this place, but I don't think there's really any more that we can deal with from up here. So, screw it. We'll just handle things head on. I really need to reorganize my rings. Okay. So again, I'm still getting used to the sensitivity, or lack thereof, of this controller relative to my brand new PS4 controller. So we just picked up the dried fingers. A dried finger with multiple knuckles, shriveled but still slightly warm. With this many knuckles, surely it cannot belong to anything human. I don't know to whom it would belong. That is something I thought about previously, but I can't remember what or whether I actually came up with any answer. And there are albino rats here, too, which is interesting. Long before I knew there were much better spots of farming humanity. This is where I used to farm humanity as well. By killing the albino rats. There's not just those two, but there is a better spot for it. So yeah, so you'll notice that when you look at their corpses, the bottom half, they just look like normal hollows. With some sort of, egg bearer infection. Which looks similar to, it looks like an in-between form of that which we're susceptible to and the form in which we find NG. Oh, crud. I thought that was a thrust attack. So yeah, see, they have the same loincloth type thing. Oh, interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay. Very interesting to see that there's still someone invading. I am mildly concerned, though, that it might be a hacker, but we shall see. Tempted to hop down and open up the shortcut, but... Hi. Oh, he's bowing. That's nice. Just give me 1 second, please, friend. Please. Let's go over there. much nicer. We got lots of space over here. We can really spread our wings. Oh, he's got a washing pole. Interesting. Doesn't appear to be cheating, which is nice. $41,067. So, I don't know what level that corresponds to, but maybe I'll put something on the screen, which will tell us what level that invader was. But seeing as you can invade infinitely upwards, I'm going to assume that that person was like level 100 or something like that. But yeah, very, very cool to see that there's still people invading in Dark Souls 1. Even though this game... Oh, so we did knock that down. Okay. Even though this game is now 5 years old? So if you backstab them, if I'm recalling correctly, if you backstab them, you don't have to worry about the toxic, but otherwise it's a problem. But yeah, there is a reason why we bought 99 of them. Alright. So, there is a very important item description over there. I can't remember if we need to actually jump to get it. It looks like we do. Okay. Ooh, first try. Oh, no, that's not it. Okay, unless I'm remembering that wrong. Oh no, there it is. So yeah, as I was just mentioning about the egg form, bitter, sour chestnut removes parasitic egg from body. The egg bearers have chosen to serve the flame of chaos, and the egg symbolizes selfless choice. Naturally, these chestnuts are forbidden, but allowed under special circumstances. So yeah, that to me has always said that the enemies we're fighting in this area are specifically infected with the egg bearer status, whatever that is, or however that you would describe that. I don't know why they inflict you with toxic, so there's clearly something different going on there than the egg bearers themselves, because the egg bearers of course don't inflict you with toxin. Or with toxic, I should say. This is the Painted Guardian? Yeah. And there's the humanity. Robe worn by the albaster-clothed guardians of the paintings in Anor Londo offers substantial protection versus magic. They have guarded the great paintings of Ariamis for ages, passing their duty down through the generations. But the reason for doing so passed from all memory long ago. So like earlier I was speculating about it being the gods that were the ones who actually employed them to guard the paintings. But it seems as though, yeah, it's not entirely clear, and that it was set up as such that no one will remember. So I think we actually went in the exit. But so why that set is there, I can't really say. I don't really know. Beyond just giving the player an understanding of who the Guardians were and why they were guarding the painting. And that is to say, to mention to the player, and this is an ambush here, to mention to the player that no one knows. No one remembers why they're here. Okay, that's a pretty petty, or pitiful ambush. Okay, so we can hop down there, but first I think we're going to want to open up the shortcut. And this is not really the shortcut, but more of a secret shortcut. Or a glitch shortcut. I would say it's a glitch, but they've left it in the game, so we have another undead dragon here. And I'm tempted to... I was going to say, I'm tempted to go into hyper mode. But I do want to be prepared in case we get invaded again. And being in hyper mode for an invasion is not generally a good idea. Although, with that said, I didn't get hit once by that previous invader, so what do I know? Okay, so we're doing 164. What if we put on the Hawk Ring? $164, and that gives us... Oh, it's still 164. Oh well. So again, cheese is one of the mandates of this playthrough. Just because. It's not really, I don't really know many cheese strats for Dark Souls 3. As of yet, so might as well take advantage of it for as long as I possibly can while playing Dark Souls 1. So Large Soul of a Proud Knight, Dragon Scale, and the Blood Shield. What's it called? Yeah, Blood Shield. Ah, yeah. The blood shield spoken of in the Lost Legends, the red blood is slightly enchanted and boosts various resistances. Most notably, bleeding resistance. So that is a choice shield for people using life hunt weapons, which build up your bleed. So this says try attacking, but if you attack, nothing happens. But very specifically, what you need to do is a jumping attack. I've always loved that, the way it springs up. It's so weird. And I can't remember if we can actually... I don't think we can actually open up the shortcut from the side, but yeah, at least we killed the dragon. So there's that. So yeah, so if you ever want to avoid having to deal with the Bonewheels in the tunnel where you unlock the... where you open the actual shortcut, that's how you do it. But we do have another shortcut to open up here. This one, legitimate one. So we've pissed off the Phalanx, and they've officially... I love that when you aggro them, they just completely break their formation. Like, oh, we got an intruder, let's break formation! So, we can deal with them in a couple of ways. One is... Oh, and I see they're coming near me. One is with pine resin. And the other, we have 99 fire bombs and black fire bombs, so we could use that, but that's kind of boring. These guys were source of a lot of my souls when I was farming in the game early on. They're decent for soul farming, but there are better methods. But yeah, if you're doing a faith build, it's like two wogs, or two, if you use Wrath of Gods twice on these guys in the right position, then yeah, you take them all out pretty much instantly. And those torch hollows can actually be rather problematic if you don't see them coming, and if you don't have a fair amount of poise. Actually, speaking of which, let's restore our poise. We didn't do that for the invader, which thankfully didn't come back to bite us in the rear, but so yeah, these guys look like mutated forms of just the regular hollow as well, but their mutation's quite different than that of the engorged zombies, or whatever they're called. So this is a rare ring of sacrifice, or just a ring of sacrifice. I don't know how I still remember what most of the items are. I guess just a sign that I spent way too much time playing this game back in the day. So if you've not played Dark Souls 1 and you've played Dark Souls 3, you're about to see a somewhat familiar face. Although, you won't really be seeing their face, but somewhat familiar figure, let's say that. Sure. And yeah, this place is pretty gruesome. And something I pointed out in my blind playthrough of Dark Souls 3 is the extent to which the tree guys, the tree hollows at the High Wall of Lothric, look a lot like these hollows that are just propped up on these spikes. Or impaled on these spikes, I should say. I didn't expect that to end so quickly. Okay, so he dropped the notched whip. Whip with sharp spikes, only slightly effective against armor and tough scales, but quite formidable against enemies with exposed skin. Also causes heavy bleeding. And then around the corner here, there's Acid Surge. Pyromancy foreign to the Great Swamp. Emit acid which corrodes weapons and armor. Not all pyromancy originates in the Great Swamp. One hears rumors of unknown pyromancers inhabiting various lands, and this spell is the work of one such outlander. So yeah, this area is pretty much a feast for the crows. And it's funny that they have these humanoid crows everywhere, and then there's also, yeah, these crows that just look like normal crows. So I do seem to recall someone figuring out, or at least putting forth a very good theory as to who this is, but I don't remember. So I'm not going to speculate about that. So the only thing left over here, we have this door which leads to the Annex, but it's locked, of course. This is a spot where invaders spawn. And I know that because there's a video of 3 people basically waiting for an invader there, and then murking him as soon as he spawned. It was quite funny. So if that leads to the Annex, where does this lead again? Because I don't remember. Oh, so there's one of 2 entrances to the place where you find the Bonewheel skeletons. I seem to remember these ambushes being far more imposing than that, but it could just be that, yeah, we're very well prepared. Alright, I guess it's time to deal with the Bonewheels. So this is the one spot where Dark Souls 1 turns into like survival horror type game. Because this is genuinely terrifying, or at least it was. For me, back in the day. But with Hidden Body, oh no. Okay, we can dispatch them with one hit, which is good. Hidden Body seems to help a great deal, though, because otherwise they'd be swarming us already. Stop it! Okay, maybe I made much ado about nothing. Because that wasn't so bad. And we opened up the shortcut to boot. So, yeah. But we did go on the very easy side. Because there's also this. And we just got an Estus. Someone kindled the bonfire, so that's pretty cool. And again, yeah, part of it is certainly that I made sure we were very well prepared for this. Famous last words. But hopefully not. Annex key. So be sure to read all... Are you still alive? No. That was just a ragdoll. Pyromancy scroll ahead. Thank you. So that is indeed what we're looking for. But I want to make sure that we didn't miss anything else here. Oh my god. Oh, that scared the life. It scared me. I was not ready for that. Oh wow. Whoa! Oh my god, we found her! Hey friend! You took a little tumble earlier, didn't you? Oh my god, that's amazing. Wow. So if you skipped the early parts of the episode, you won't know why I found that so funny just now. But basically, we aggroed the crow. The crows on the roof across from us when we were up on top of one of the buildings. And then one of them sort of flew off to the side and fell off. And, yep, we found her. Oh man, that's so funny. Okay, so that's the bad entrance. If you're really scared of the Bonewheels, you don't want to enter there. Alright, so Annex key. Key to the Annex in the painted world of Ariamis. In the wintry painted world, there is a structure resembling an old cathedral. Its annex serves as a type of storehouse. So... yeah. This friend here is not hostile. And in anticipation of us coming into contact with them, I actually pulled up on my phone the item description for the item that is dropped. And so this engorged zombie drops the... what is it? Fire Surge. Is it Fire Surge? Yes, Fire Surge. So the item description, courtesy of darksouls.wikidot.com, reads, Pyromancy foreign to the Great Swamp creates a surge of flame from palm to hand. Not all pyromancy originates in the Great Swamp. One hears rumors of unknown pyromancers inhabiting various lands, and this spell is the work of one such outlander. And yeah, so this person is not really doing anyone any harm. And you could perhaps make the argument that, you know, you shouldn't kill him or her for that reason, or you should kill them to put them out of their misery. But no, we're gonna leave our friend here.
Hello. I'm sorry.
Didn't mean to clip through its head there. Okay, off to the Annex. So yeah, I like this area a lot. It's creepy, it's atmospheric, it's got really interesting enemies and lore. The level design is obviously amazing. So there's a lot on offer here. And yeah, it's one of those areas that you can go through the entirety of the main game and not only not figure out how to get here, but also, like, you know, you could feel like you're not really missing all that much, but it adds so much. So yeah, definitely a good idea to deal with as many of those engorged zombie head things as you can from range. So I wonder if that's Fire Surge, or if that's if it's implied to be Fire Surge. It doesn't seem to be the same effect, as best as I can recall, but I've very rarely actually done pyromancy in this game. So I could be remembering that all wrong. So what are you guys guarding here? I don't remember. Oh, it's an ember, that's right. So just another of these stock Andre models. Dark Ember. Ember required for weapon ascension. The church long hid the forbidden black ember, and no living blacksmith knows of it. Ascends +5 divine weapon to occult weapon. Occult weapons were used to hunt the gods and are effective against their followers and kin. So just as we found that Smo, seemingly, like it was in Smo's room, but it seemed to belong to Bishop Havel, or one of his men, that we find an occult club in that room. And that it was in a mimic, suggesting that whatever it was being hidden intentionally from the gods, in the city of the gods. Velka's Rapier. Velka is one of those subjects and people, or things, or gods that I know virtually nothing about, so... symbolic, powerful thrusting sword used by the pardoner serving Velka, goddess of sin. It is no mere symbol, to be sure. The pardoner is an inhuman swordsman, and wields this enchanted blade with a special sword technique. So this drops us, where is this? I think this is right near the start. Where are we? I don't remember where that drops us. Let's make sure we're not missing anything over here first. This takes us back where we came from, I believe. Or does it? Yes, it does. Okay. And this is where the ember was. No. This triggers an ambush, I think. Vow of silence. Or does it? Hey, crows. I got your miracle. I actually think that might be, if you jump down there, that might be instant death. So yeah, so the Annex is basically the Velka area. So first we have the Vow of Silence. Secret rite of the black-haired witch, Velka, prevents casting of magic within effect area. Velka, the goddess of sin, is a rogue deity, but she is versed in arts both new and old, and is considered to have a great range of influence, even as gods are concerned. Robe worn by partners serving Velka, the goddess of sin. The partner's attire is uniformly black in color and said to be imbued with Velka's mystical power, which provides resistance against all manner of magic. It says the partners listen to the confessions of sinners, urging reflection and salvation. Their masks symbolize separation from worldly desires. Very interesting. So this brings us... yeah, just right back here. So again, the level design is just fantastic here. Whoops. Whoops, whoops, whoops. That was silly. So yes, the level design is fantastic. But... yeah. Actually, before we reverse our hollowing, why don't we warp? Oh wait, we can't warp. That was awful acting, I admit. So this bonfire is cut off from the others, cannot warp. So I always thought that that was really, really cool. Really cool touch. Let's equip some humanity. And you know what? It's actually, I think, time to do a little bit of inventory management. Okay. Then we're going to kindle the bonfire, because might as well. Oh. Alright, I guess we're being invaded. It's too bad there's no seeds in this game. It was my first thought as soon as we started getting invaded. Oh, better use a seed. Yeah, apparently not. Can't remember if it's the same person from last time. No! What did I do? Friend. Let's see if it was the same person. It was the same person. I guess they didn't want to face us. Well, fine. I didn't like you either. No, actually, this is a good time to demonstrate the fire bombs. Oh, well, I put things away in my inventory, but I meant to also reorganize them. Oh, well. I guess that's not great. Whoa! Okay, it's not really all that good at all, in fact. I feel like the black fire bombs in Dark Souls 3 are way stronger than that. Large leather shield. I don't think that has any lore on them, but it's worth having a look. Large leather covered round shield. Choice shield for hunters. Wood shields are lighter than metal. Okay, yeah, no lore on them. Other than perhaps this suggests that they were hunters. So hunters in a similar vein to, not to Bloodborne, of course, but to the forest hunters. Because I believe Ferris uses the round leather shield when you come across her in Darkroot Forest. Okay, let's see, where are... There they are, our souls. Let's not fall off this time, Aegon, please. Thank you. This is definitely one thing I've never been very keen on. Fighting these... And there's a souvenir of reprisal. And another souvenir of reprisal. As if to rub the salt in my wounds from all that time spent farming the Silver Knights in Dark Souls 3. Rip. Oh, man. This game is still great. Oh, Spirit of Vengeance. Interesting. Okay. Alright, let's get the heck away from this tower. I'm amazed. I guess I did do a few invasions, but not really all that much. What's more is that also suggests that I was indicted, but I don't actually remember being indicted by anyone. Because, yeah, after my hard drive crapped out, this, along with the Soul Level 1 build I started working on a live stream a little while ago, yeah, this is the only build I have. So I guess if I did do invasions, then whatever happened, it wasn't pleasant for the other person. It wasn't what we would describe as a cordial intrusion, it would seem.
Hello!
Ooh. We have some souvenirs for this person. Oh, but way too many soul items. Where are the souvenirs? There they are. Hello? Friend? Oh, well, we did kill Guinevere. So I'm going to assume that that is what gave us sin.
Hello.
At the bonfire, friend.
Hello.
I'm tempted to send him a message. Him or her a message saying bonfire, but that takes a really long time to do. Okay. Let's do it. Screw it. Oh. Bonfitter. I hate typing when it's not an actual keyboard. That's a giant dad. Got pyromancy, yeah. Black flame, probably. Yep. I had completely forgotten that I set up my gold tracer to be right there in case I needed a faster weapon. I really should have switched to the gold tracer there. Because yeah, I just couldn't attack him as fast as he was able to cast. And I also seem to have forgotten that, yeah, that build is specifically set up so as to ensure that weapons like this one can't stun lock them. So I was expecting to stun lock him out of the black flame animation, but that was silly of me to do. But yeah, you really can't be mad with an invasion like that. It was cordial. It was fair. There was no healing. So yeah, I take back my suggestion of, I don't know if it was the previous episode or the one prior to it, or in this episode in fact, that I was thinking that any invaders left would likely be hackers, but both the invaders that we've come across so far have been just people playing, and not being arseholes. So we also picked up the red sign soapstone. Before I forget, be summoned to another world as a dark spirit and defeat the summoner to acquire humanity. Certain dark race resist resist their descent into dark and persevere along the honorable path. The red sign soapstone is for them. So, funnily enough, that's almost like FromSoft saying, in meta terms to players like me, don't expect invaders to not be honorable. So, touche, FromSoft, and touche to everyone who, has, and, I've tried not to make it seem as though, like, there's some universal rule that they should all be following. I'm very mindful of the fact that my conception of honor is mine alone, and that I shouldn't expect anyone else to live up to that. But equally, I try always to see the best in people, and always to imagine the best possible scenarios, and that people can be good if if you're giving them an opportunity to be good. So that, for better or worse, is a large part of what informs my, how I react to certain PvP encounters. And so when we were looking away just there, this guy hopped down. And so remember when I was saying about the reason why Tarkus might have wanted to enter the Painted World? That perhaps, maybe, just maybe, it was to retrieve a comrade who, unfortunately, seems to have gone hollow regardless. But yeah, I think that I don't know if it's more. Oh, got a path around the hole there, friend. But yeah, it's entirely possible that Tarkus, rather than failing at having traversed the rafters at the cathedral there, that was guarded by the Painted Guardians, and falling to his death, it's entirely possible that he, in fact, made his way across the rafters, and was trying to get into the Painted World. And so another thing I was thinking about is about why he may perhaps have been in the corner. It's possible that he knew about the Painted World, but he didn't know about the doll that you would need. Maybe he didn't go back to the Northern Undead Asylum or whatever to retrieve the doll, which would grant him access. So maybe he tried to speedrun past all of them, and then, found his way into the corner as he got backed into the corner while he was fighting them all, after he realized that he didn't know how to enter the painting. So just one of many, many possible interpretations, but one that I find quite interesting. So this is Priscilla, related perhaps to Yorshka from Dark Souls 3. And so this is a very interesting boss fight with very interesting mechanics. But first and foremost, I wanted to point out that this is the circle I was talking about when I was discussing how this area initially served as a prototype for Dark Souls 1. That when you walked into that circle there, the ground would cave in, and then you would find yourself face to face with Gravelord Nito, who may or may not have been Gravelord Nito at that point, may have just been a concept himself. She is, of course, wielding the Life Hunt Scythe. So, well, let's say hello.
Who art thou? One of us thou art not. If thou hast misstepped into this world, plunge down from the plank and hurry home. If thou seekest I, thine desires shall be requited not. Thou must returneth whence thou came. This land is peaceful, its inhabitants kind, but thou dost not belong. I beg of thee, plunge down from the plank and hurry home.
So yeah, as I was saying, there are many that this is a very interesting boss fight with very interesting mechanics, and there are many videos showcasing it on YouTube. So if you're really interested in checking it out, if you have not yet seen it, then I would recommend going to check it out, because we're going to take Priscilla's advice and return home. And that's also going to do it for this episode. So thank you all very much for joining me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
you.